Like connecting people, like it just breaks down the silos because sats can be earned in one realm and spent in so many other realms. It's just everything's connected now. It's not these virtual currencies you have to convert into this and this. It's just like, wow, it's all connected.
Hey everybody, this is the High Hash Rate Podcast. I'm Mike.
And I'm Dan.
And this podcast is just two plebs getting high and talking about Bitcoin, life, and the absurdity of the fiat world. Our guests don't necessarily get high with us, and you don't have to either.
But it helps.
All right, we're officially recording. And
nice. You're going to do your intro where it's like the beginning.
See, the thing, I don't want to do an intro. And I have been starting the episodes just like, boom, there it is.
Right.
And I sort of enjoy the feeling of being slammed into content. You know what I mean? How something just hits you. There's a difference between...
You like to get slammed in your tapes, yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Just early with the tapes joke in the episode. Anyway, so... God, Dan always does this and he throws me off, and now I have to fucking reconsider what I was thinking. But when you're like doing in filmmaking, you have these. I mean, it's simply you have a cut, right? You have a hard cut, and you have a transition or a soft cut or some sort of different transition, right? To sort of hide the thought difference between one clip to another clip, because these are two different pieces of language, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, I don't. I'm learning.
By the way, I mean, come on, Tip. You're like a visual artist. You know visual language. It's like
I don't know the words for it though. I don't know there's like a definition for it.
Before we go any further, you should announce who you're talking to.
No, fuck that. I don't want.
Let's have them people figure it out. Let's just have people figure it out.
Exactly.
There you go. Do you recognize the voice from the videos?
So we're talking to Tip.
Time chain. I don't know.
And Tip, I do want you to introduce yourself. But I just want to get this thought across: the visual slamming of one idea into another idea. So you have, let's say, you see a character looking this way. Now that's one idea, right? And then you see and then you slam it into another clip,
like a cut,
of a character looking this way, right? So one character's looking this way. One character's looking this way, right? You put those things together, and suddenly there's a relationship between the two people. You have created the space in your mind. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so, I get it. They're together, kind of. They're in the same vibe.
Basically, you created that moment. It's not the filmmaker creating that moment. It's you going, oh, these two people are in the same room at the same time, and they're talking. But in reality, sometimes the other actor is not even there. It's 2 hours later after the next shot. You know what I'm saying? It's not a real conversation.
Yeah, interesting.
In that sense. So,
and I just want to say, like, I get when you said like you're a movie maker, a filmmaker, whatever, and you didn't understand the terms. Like, I didn't go to school for computer science to become a software engineer. I like self-taught. So my first couple of years, as an engineer, where I was like really insecure because everybody was using all these terms that I should have known, and I didn't understand the terms. And so I was always like really insecure in the stand-up meetings. And then I'd go back and I'd like Google them. I'm like, oh, I know how to do that. Like, that's easy. That's just like a really complex or, a specific term. It's jargon that I just didn't get.
Yeah. I feel like my brain has been wasted by learning fiat economics because that's what I study. So now I have all these definitions, these fiat definitions in my brain. Like, get out! I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, that was my university degree was economics, and so it's like I'm learning all the crap that all the Keynesianism we learned.
Yes. Oh, the mistakes that we make. No.
I do want to hear more about. I want to make this point. I have to make this point about the two visual hits, right? And the point is,
go for it.
Look, I've been I've been editing these episodes that start with just a slam into the content, right? And the feeling you get from having an intro into that is sort of interesting to me, because you're like thrown into a room basically. So when I relate it to the visual world, this is all I'm talking about, is that if you take one image and you slam it against another, it creates I tend to like it when they slam together as opposed to a fading together where one sort of fades into another. That's the only thing I'm trying to say. Now,
Are you
okay, that's
are you
I'm
a big
done.
fan of Power Man 5000 When Worlds Collide, the song, the hard rock song? Is that what
Okay,
you listen
fine.
to? Like a pump up before you edit?
I can't emphasize the importance of visual editing, Dan. I just can't do it. It's so
You're right. You can't
impossible.
emphasize it.
It is impossible for me, especially in this thing. Anyway, okay. Can you introduce yourself, Tip? I'm so sorry for starting.
No, that's all good. Actually, I was just thinking, like, okay, so we're like on a Zoom call. I actually have a song that I'm releasing tomorrow. It's on my computer in case you guys wanted to preview it today, but
oh my God, yes.
I can also do it tomorrow. But you guys will be the first, except for my partner, you guys will be the first ever to see it. So I think it's very timely as well. So, but
Can I get that and cut that into this?
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually going to post it tomorrow morning. Well, I've set an alarm tonight to like post it early.
By the time this airs, everybody will have heard it, but we heard it first,
yes.
so now it's on the record. It's going to be on the record.
Okay, cool. I'll get up running. But yeah, I'm Tip, Tip_NZ on Twitter. Do Bitcoin videos, Bitcoin raps, short film, all that stuff. So yeah, might have seen my stuff floating around. I don't know I hate introducing myself. I don't know how to do it, but
have you been speaking more and more to people these days, Tip, since you've been in Bitcoin?
Yeah, and I feel like I need to get better at introducing myself, but I just don't, because it's just something that I just don't think about. So it's just, and the more I do it, I guess I'll get better. But yeah,
I just wanted to say.
You wanted to say, go.
No, I just want to say, like, I've definitely seen a lot of your videos, and I don't know when I first saw them, but I wanted to like let you know that I was like maybe this spring, or I just got back from El Salvador, and I was like tripping pretty hard on mushrooms, and I was like late at night. It was late at night, and I saw your video. Bitcoin creates its own reality with like the time is money, money is time, and I watched that like over and over and over again for probably 45 minutes, like just like really tripping hard. And I wanted to say that video and seeing it in that setting or that mind state really changed how I started to think about everything in the space. It was like really, like I said, I studied economics. I'm a software engineer, so everything was very technical, very economic. And now, if anybody who's listened to the show knows, I've been obsessed with like energy and time and their relationship. And it's a large part. I talk a lot about Carlo Rovelli's book, Order of Time. I mentioned it to the point where people are probably annoyed by hearing it. But what I didn't mention was that video was probably the catalyst for that. So
that's amazing.
It's a great video. I've shared it a million with like everybody.
Yeah, I have to say,
thank you so much.
You have a talent, Tip, to take these great big ideas and weave them into poetry and music. It's really, really something to watch.
Totally agree.
It's so fun, and also like it's I think cannabis does have something to do with it. Like it definitely opened my mind to like just connecting the dots and stuff. I feel like I would be so stuck in like traditional thinking if I didn't have some sort of catalyst to, I don't know, think differently. But yeah, still part of it.
Do you usually smoke while you work?
Actually, like at the very beginning, like I was like just trying to experiment and see kind of like which part of the process is good for like, being a different state of mind. And I think in the expansions phase, when you're trying to come up with ideas, when you're kind of trying to connect the dots, that is the best. Mm-hmm. And then you have to be very disciplined. And when you've got your idea and you're refining and you're doing the more technical video editing stuff, you need to be very disciplined and focused. So that's not the best time. But so it's like knowing when to use this enhancement and knowing when to stop.
Yeah. My experience from my perspective is exactly the same. I didn't learn that until somewhat recently, actually. But when I'm thinking, or I go for walks, or like late at night, where it's almost like you're just like idea board, where you're just like coming up with ideas and kind of parsing those out a little bit in your mind. And then later I sleep on it and then I execute on it like the next day. sometimes I
Yeah.
don't execute on anything. It's like, that wasn't that great of an idea. It seemed brilliant at the time, but it was, no, I don't think that anymore.
God, how many
But
times
some of
that's
them,
happened
like,
to me,
they
man.
just, they keep going.
So sometimes I do that and I'm like, oh, that's not a great idea. But then it pops back up in the most random time and it kind of like, I don't know, sometimes it becomes relevant again. But at least it's kind of like these nuggets are flying around.
So one question I've got is, I'm somewhat of an amateur video / meme maker. I post all the time. They're usually more geared towards being funny or topical. But anyways, so like making videos, like even a 30-second clip is so tedious and so time consuming. So I see something like,
This is coming from a coder.
right, exactly. Something like Bitcoin creates its own reality, or the rabbit hole one with Alice in Wonderland. That was the other one I really liked around that same time. There's so much, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, just like unique creativity, and like a lot of the clips are really fast. How long does it take you what is your process? How do you make these, and how long does it take you to make
I've got an awesome idea. Let's watch the latest video and then I will share screen my CapCut and I will show you
I love
everything
this idea.
behind the scenes.
I have to
Okay,
give you,
so
I have to give
let's
you host.
Perfect.
Hold on.
do it.
All right, let me make you host.
The arbitrage on this trend has been margin called.
Think you was a hook, trusted your idols, now they got it shook. Believe in the crooks, held up the same. Are they cooking the books? Save up a decade, I lost in a day. Another new M-Rap just getting away. Bigger the bag, bigger ripple effect. When it all blows off, it is you who will pay.
Behind the ads, inside the success. Pull back the curtains and what do you get? And it's the risk with a big safety net. Made from your savings and 401k. Give it to the other side of the trade. Socialized losses while reaping the gain. First to fall in this reckless war. Cause you're just a pawn in the cotillion this game.
When money talks and pay for the shield, pay for the cloud, pay for the thrill, pay for the media to lie to our face. Distort the truth so we repeat our mistakes. Sell us a dream that never delivers, while raking in fees and clipping the tickets. Siphoning funds from the mouth of the spigot. Blind leads are blind till we're all complicit. Money is cheap, get addicted to growth. Commingle the risks so nobody knows. Fire it'll go to a damaged collateral. Another excuse for oppressive control. And government capture is part of the play. Reapers of value at the end of the day. We're calling for help but nobody came. No bailouts for pawns to complete its game.
When money deeply rots at the core, don't believe intentions are pure. This crypto contagion stems from a system that incentivized fraud. As schemes get more complex, and fallible humans left unchecked. Playing the dark is how you get wrecked, and that our economies are largely X.
What would happen we take our money out of its systems? Why protest our labor when we can pull out our capital? Where would we be if our money enriched us? Simply by holding purchasing power. How do we build a base? Replace the cotillion effects with the will of free markets.
Step 1.
Build an independent system to remove the risk of corruption.
Step 2.
Move our savings into that system so no one can ever touch it.
Step 3.
Earn, save, spend, trade. All activities moving this way. With our own money, everything changed. We no longer positive cotillion this game.
Works, it's hard by design. Earn it by work, earn it with time. Earning a larger piece of the pie. Forever yours to verify. Money is data of who owns what and when. That's you keep score, not politicians. Government capturing part of the place, and we reap the value at the end of the day.
So we can move value without being censored. Move on from gambling and savings. Move on from all the politics. Move on to the end of the internet.
So we don't have to trust every word that they say. So freedom and wealth can be taken away. So we treat and punish all the same. So we can end the cotillion this game.
Knowing the truth will break the frame. Now our perspectives forever change. Truth is the key for us to reclaim.
Open the door and exit the game.
Okay, that's it.
That was great. That's I don't know, like it's like the cool. There's so many that are like nerdy videos or just kind of like feel good, but that's yours have like the, I don't know, the cool element.
All right, after seeing that, I gotta ask some questions. But okay, and
Oh yeah, me too.
I've got to ask some questions. And I know Dan had a question for you, and I'm sorry I cut you off.
Yeah, I noticed that in that video, as well as a couple other videos, you have people singing your lyrics, but they definitely are meant to sound like famous rappers. Like, how do you do that? Do you just like find people that have the good at impersonating, or use it like some sort of software?
I use uberduck.ai, and like if you haven't tried it, go and try it. It's so much fun. So this is where I feel like screen sharing would be awesome because I want to show you everything. But so if you go to uberduck.ai and you go to the section reference audio, you put in your own voice how you want it to sound, and you find a voice and it like mimics it, but not every voice works. So like some of the words it doesn't register properly. It's still AI and stuff, but yeah, I use AI for that.
Wow. So I heard Jay-Z in there, and then there was, it sounded like maybe Ja Rule, or who was the other one?
It was, I actually can't remember
Okay.
what it was. Oh, who was it? It was because like I'm trying to get the best sounding ones. So sometimes it's
Sure.
just like some random voice where I'm just like,
Right.
okay, that one sounds about right. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
definitely heard it was either Ja Rule or DMX in some of them, but yeah, I was curious. I was like, is this a cut from a song, like a famous song? Like, no, there's nobody singing about this. Like in the early 2000s when this rapper was popular, no way. I was like, okay, she's doing something, and that's
yeah.
like, yeah.
What do you
nice.
think about that?
Tupac, Jay-Z, Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD
Tupac. It
was
was
the
Tupac. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was
Think
thinking.
think about that you can totally take a dead rapper, take their voice and attach your own words to it. It's sort of like a way to live on in a sense, or like I think where I'm going with this is like
Has
what,
Tip made any deep fakes?
that's
You
what I'm
mean,
asking.
have you
Like, yeah, like how true. Well, no, it's like goes more into like how true do you think reality will be in a few years when everything is fucking deep fakes and I can sound like Jay-Z.
Yeah, it'll be crazy, and you shouldn't trust anything you see or hear. But I don't know.
No, I just think that's an interesting concept to sort of mull around in, is like this idea of not being able to trust information that comes.
right. Like the implications, the political implications. Like, what if a world leader, like a video goes out? But I was thinking more along the lines of like, can you make a video of Corey saying that we're offering Ethereum and other stuff on Swan, and then release it on April 1st, right?
And how can I trust that that information is the true one? You know, like this idea starts to become a little bit hairy.
Yeah.
I don't
Crazy.
know.
I don't know.
That's what it made me think.
So when did you start making these? When did you start getting into Bitcoin? I guess, like, what's your origin story?
Well, my partner got into Bitcoin first, and he was very patient to getting me across the line. Like he got in kind of like I don't know, like 2013 was the year that he met me and the year that he discovered Bitcoin, which was the best year of his life, apparently. And he waited patiently till 2020, you know, like he's been orange pilling me. And we kind of went through the whole cycle together. I remember getting excited about crypto in like 2016 and 2017. And, you know, we all got burnt. We all got, you know, lessons and stuff. But it was really 2020 that I was just like, holy shit, Bitcoin is the thing, the answer that, you know, I've been looking for, kind of thing. So
you really resisted it.
It was more that I didn't pay attention to it. I was kind of like, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what problem it was solving. And coming from a traditional finance background, like I had a very traditional finance like mindset, like what's the intrinsic value? You know, like the dumb stuff that everyone's going through now is like what I was going through. So yeah, it took time. Yeah.
What is your traditional finance background? Like, what do you do? Are you derivatives trader, or like, you know, something cool or sounds cool, or what do you do?
I was initially public equities analyst, so I was also a fund manager at a sovereign wealth fund. So I was managing a public equities portfolio, kind of like a Warren Buffett style, like how many, if we were to hold 10 stocks for the next 10 years, which stocks would it be? So kind of like long-term investing. And then I left and joined a startup, and that was kind of like my first experience in, you know, building stuff and coding, but like really badly, like really, really badly. And then I left and joined a venture capital firm, and that's kind of like more private equity stuff. So yeah, a little bit of everything.
Is that what you do now, the private equity?
No, I quit because I discovered Bitcoin, and I was just like, this is, yeah, it was a journey, because in VC, you're looking for lots and lots of growth, and Bitcoin, I feel like the business model of growing slowly and building for the long term and not extorting value from customers and users didn't align with venture capital. So I felt it was really I was a black sheep in the company where everyone was into crypto and Web3, and I couldn't fight that fight, so I left.
So, have you always been super like creative, artsy? Like, has that always been part of your personality?
I guess so. Yeah. Like
Did you have to like suppress that?
Were you making music before this music?
Mike, no, I wasn't.
I told you.
Music. I guess like I don't know, like I was I loved doing like creative stuff, and I guess the most creative like work thing I did was when I was younger. I made a TV show teaching English, but other than that, it was more like I grew up playing like.
What does that mean? You made a TV show teaching English? I'm Thai, and so I go back to Thailand kind of once every year. And while over summer holidays, I got in touch with a studio who my dad knew this studio, and they were like, "Oh, you live in New Zealand. You're really good at English. Do you want to help us create this TV show?" And so I helped created it and host it and produced it and stuff. So that was kind of my first taste into producing something and being in a studio. But it was very much like one season each year, and I did that for a couple of years. But it was very much like I wasn't in there like editing or anything. I was kind of just the high level, here's the script, this is what I want to talk about and stuff. So that I think that was the most creative thing I've done. Other than that, it was very traditional finance role, writing reports and research reports and analysts and stuff, which I'm grateful for, because now I've built this like analytical brain, but then it helps me with my content as well. So it's kind of like this balance, I guess. Did you want that? Did you want that route?
I guess it makes sense to start from the beginning, where I don't know if you were listening to the John Dallas thing today, but I grew up. My dad was in politics, and so I watched him kind of try to change the world in politics. He became deputy prime minister in the early 2000s, and I kind of like watched him struggle trying to change the system, and we went campaigning together to start a new political party, and it was really difficult. And so I was like, I don't want to be in politics, because obviously you can't make any change in politics. What about finance? Because at least there'll be capital, and you can make change with capital. And so I think to me, it was more like, how do I make the biggest impact? How do I actually shape this world? Like, I want to shape the world. I don't want to just be passively consuming and just letting everyone kind of tell me what to do. And so I think went to finance because of that. But I've always kind of just been, I guess, doing creative stuff in my own time, but it was never work, really.
Did you feel boxed in?
Every time I felt boxed in, I left. So it was just like, if someone was like, this is as far as you go, or this is the, like if I'm not growing anymore, I'm just like, yeah, see ya. So I've left every time, and it's been great.
How do you feel that your creativity is like really evolved now that you kind of don't have that every day going, oh, dividends, free cash flow, and blah, 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 blah. Like you're not doing that every day. Is that like really opened up your mind essentially?
Like 100%. Like, if you have time, and to the point that you get bored and you get to be creative, like that is the peak. Like, let's see what we can do. Like, let's see what we can create. And if you have no boss and you have no kind of mandate or nothing, it's like you can free reign, do whatever you want. And so, I was definitely the most creative.
That's kind of scary though, right? For a lot of people, where it's the freedom or free to choose, and then you have to like create your own way to make it in this life. Was there a lot of
no,
were
it's
you
fun.
nervous?
Not at all.
At first, was it scary? Or no, you were like, you jumped right in?
I was making TikTok videos when I was in VC because I wanted to get exposure and meet founders through that way, like so people can discover me. And over time, I was like learning more about Bitcoin as well, and crypto and stuff. And it's just like, I actually think Bitcoin is the most important message that I can send out to the world right now. Like, I don't really care too much about, investing in anything. I want to talk about Bitcoin. And so I was making Bitcoin videos, and then I left venture capital and kept making the Bitcoin videos. So I guess I was kind of already on that path. It wasn't kind of like, now what?
So it seems like Bitcoin to you is sort of a moral imperative.
Yeah, I mean, it was at a point where I was like, do I keep suppressing my curiosity for Bitcoin just so I can focus on my day job, which wasn't aligned with Bitcoin? I mean, I tried to weave it in, like I wrote investment thesis on Lightning Network. I wrote how the financial system was failing. I tried to raise a Bitcoin fund within the fund that I was working in, and they were like, no, like we don't think the system is broken, because it wasn't broken for them. Like we were raising millions and millions of dollars, and so we just weren't aligned. And I felt like I was being held back in terms of my pursuit of Bitcoin, and so we just parted ways, and it was fine. Like they were doing their thing, and they went into Web3 and all of that stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I know that that's not the future. I know that it's Bitcoin, but I also know that you're not going to make your 10x return in the next couple of years with some Bitcoin stuff, and some of the best Bitcoiners that I respect building stuff probably aren't going to be raising from Web3 VC. So I don't want to associate myself with that. So I left.
Are you still trying to impact, like make change or influence society? Would you say you're still doing that through finance with Bitcoin, or is it more of ideas?
So I don't know if you've listened to the John Bellis thing. Probably not. But
Not yet.
we were talking about kind of like the bigger picture, and for me, like creating content is fine, it's fun, but I wanted to push myself in terms of like, well, what other mediums are there that can be supercharged by Bitcoin? And basically, my partner and I are looking at different ways of orange pilling people, not necessarily creating passive video for people to consume, but like, can we like modify an existing medium somehow to get people more engaged with Bitcoin? And what we landed on was there's a gaming engine that allows us to spin up our own private server where we can host our own world and our own data and everything, and we can mod Lightning in there, and we can actually get people to come into the world and actually interact and use Lightning in different ways. And so we were getting excited about that. So for me, it's like, I want to create, and that doesn't necessarily mean songs or films, but it can be that too. But I just want to create full stop. So it's just like, what crazy, awesome new ways can we create involving Bitcoin and evolve this, whatever it is. So yeah, we're kind of like all over the place, which I think is a great place to be in the Bitcoin space right now.
No, I really like that idea. So something we talk a lot on the show about is like memes, and we kind of we've covered it to the nth extent about like how it's much more. There's much more to it than just like that simple image, right? You're capturing all this information, all this emotion, all this like, if you can use like an actor's picture, and he's never even said that quote, right? But like you can convey the tone with that. So going deeper into that, like one of the things that I've been thinking about more and more, and this goes kind of back to like working at Swan and like as a software engineer, is how do you gamify everything? Because like what you're saying, like you don't want to just like create this content that people passively consume, right? You are like wanting to engage them and like figuring out how to incentivize them to, like you said, use Lightning or to make these decisions to go through this game. Like, so yeah, I mean, I think that's an awesome idea. Do you have any experience or like anything like that with game programming or game, like creating games? Is this like a new frontier?
Well, when I say game, it's like, yes, we want to focus on fun and play, but it's not necessarily game when you're using real time, real work, real money. It's actually a change in the way we live and work forever if we can open up this new realm where we can be in there together. So imagine right now, you and I, we're sitting in a bungalow on the beach in this like world, and the audience can stream us sats for me to throw a snowball in your face, and it's way more interactive, and then that audience can come and knock on the door and then join in on the conversation, while at the same time we have a treasure hunt competition going on where we're hiding sats all around the island, and this is all one island. And then, you know, we've got live people coming in to do conferences, and you know, instead of having to fly over to LA or Africa or whatever, we can all come together as Bitcoiners in this one space. And so it's kind of like, this is real life, but virtual, enabled by real digital money with real people in a digital world. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like I have to show you. I feel like I want to show you, because like we've done this with a community before, where we've built a shop where people came and traded with us, and we have used sets, you know, to trade and all that stuff. And it just feels like, wow, people can actually make real money. And imagine like if you're like a 10-year-old kid and you went and, you know, helped me build an escape room, and I paid you like 10,000 sets. That kid can go and use that sets to buy himself lunch or whatever, you know. Like, it's kind of like,
right.
The whole world is connected through that.
So yeah, first of all, like if you actually have some of that video, that, you know, you can't share it now because of your computer. If you want to like send it to Mike afterwards, then we can like clip it in somewhere in the show or like afterwards, so if people want to see that. And second, like I just wanted to clarify, like I didn't mean like actual like phone games. I did mean like this interactive digital experience that's kind of you get sats, or you can use sats for incentives and things like that. So yeah, like I think this is an awesome idea.
What intrigued me was just
quick question
like,
first.
Yeah.
Quick question first. How, when you talk about this, how do you dispel the notion that people are going to immediately come to like, this is the metaverse? Is it, you consider?
Yeah. So metaverse, Mark Zuckerberg, all that stuff, it's walled garden, and they try to sell you digital shit that doesn't mean anything. With Bitcoin's a scarcity, so you don't need to have scarcity in the digital world. Like Decentraland, they try to sell you the land or whatever, and it's like, no, that's replicable. Anyone can create that. What you have is you can have as many digital worlds as you want, as long as it's Lightning enabled and Sats enabled. Like, the world doesn't matter. It's just a medium for us to communicate, just like Twitter, just like Zoom, but it's a lot more interactive. And it's kind of like, in the digital world, you can interact in ways that have value attached to your interactions in a way that in real life you can't. So for example, if I were to walk up into your bungalow and you charge me 2 sats to enter, like there's all these little microtransactions and all these interactions that can have value programmed into them, whereas in real life it might be, you know, a little bit more tedious or whatever. So the digital world can enable us to do all these types of interactions that we can't do in real life, but it can also reduce the frictions of having to fly over to a conference and kind of meet up in real life. That's high friction, but we can actually do that frictionless in the digital world. But also, sorry, I'm kind of like all over the place, but it's not the metaverse where one person owns this place. This is that the reason we chose this game called Rust is because we can actually host it locally ourselves and keep the data ourselves. So we can invite anyone, you can host your own server, and even if the creators of the game kick us out, we still have that game in our server, so we own it. So that's kind of like why we chose that game. But also it's like, how can we build it from Bitcoin first principles, like make it accessible to everyone, make it decentralized, make it private, make it whatever. So it's just like those worlds exist, I guess. I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, yeah. The other question I had was, you kind of mentioned spending sats and like earning money. Do you have any ideas yet of like productive, beneficial tasks that people could be solving in these environments that could be totally digital, but
communication
seem like work, right?
Yeah. So, there's so many. So, okay. So I think people are interested in interactive, engaging stuff. And imagine if right now we can tune in on a live competition where, have you seen Battle Royale? Where like people kill each other on an island. We can do that, and we can have people, enter a competition. The last one standing wins 1 million sats, and anyone can enter. And it's kind of like it incentivizes people to be part of the content creation, not just like passive consumers of the content, and involve them. And then, they can win sets, and then they can walk over to an art gallery that displays Crypto Graffiti's latest stuff, and then donate sets to his creations, or they can donate some or pay someone in that game to build them a space where they can actually have a place to work in that world. Or you can, I don't know, like ask someone to build a stage to hold a Bitcoin meetup where anyone in the world can join, not just like a Auckland-based meetup or LA-based meetup and stuff. It's just like global, and the possibilities are endless. And so, for example, recently for my partner's birthday, I built an escape room for him to go through, and he has to solve all these like Bitcoin-related like puzzles and win sets and use sets to unlock things. And it's just like there's so many different things that we can think about that would take me days to build in real life, that it took me like minutes to build in the digital world.
Could you could you create like a digital version of all the different wallets and hardware wallets, so like people could do seminars and stuff where they could like deconstruct, build a seed signer, or like
well, we can
controllable?
No, not that controllable, but it's like, well, why not have a space where there's a Blockstream shack where we're constantly playing BTC sessions, a tutorial, and you can have like people go in and watch, and then the people that you're watching it with, you can interact with each other and be like, did you get what he meant? And and you can like, afterwards go for a walk on the beach and talk about it, and kind of create these serendipitous moments of people watching the content together, or I don't know, riffing ideas together and stuff. So it's kind of like you can put real life stuff in this world where you can have people talking about it and creating stuff together.
A 24/7 digital swan dome.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, why not? Like, I mean, if we can all go and be in that Swan Dome right now with a bunch of people 24/7, like that's epic. And I was actually mentioning, I was like, imagine if the Swan team had this digital building, like a building in this world where everyone's working remotely, but together in that world, so you can bump into each other and all that stuff. It's just like, wouldn't that be cool?
Well, it sounds like the future. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like
but it's happening. It's happening now. Like it can happen now, and you can pay sats to enter the building, for example. So you can like there's a cost to entry, so you don't get spammed with people coming in, and it's you can make it costly to do these little things, but also frictionless because people don't have to fly over and physically see you.
So the sats make everything sort of the checkpoints of you can make everything chargeable in a way.
Yeah, like every interaction can become a transaction because the value can be attached to it much more seamlessly in the digital world.
And like Grand Theft Auto, where you just drive around, you jump out of an airplane and nothing bad happens. But you have to pay sats, right? Like you're tethered to the scarcity or to this reality. So it's like, do I really want to do this, or do I want to save my sats?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go for it. Well, I just wanted to say, I think what you described is like what made me think about is how Bitcoin is it makes a more playful society in a way, like a society that can interact more with each other and doesn't isolate itself from each other.
Yeah, more communication, peer to peer, instead of filtered through something you don't know.
There is something. Oh wow, that just occurred to me how powerful that is, the peer-to-peer aspect of it.
Right. So you don't have like that gatekeeper like Mark Zuckerberg or
just another
on the third. Right. Where it's like you don't know if that communication is legitimate, like you were talking about earlier, right? With the deepfakes and stuff. Well, I mean, it doesn't filter all that completely out, but it does give you more, because we talked about last week the problem with people not
it also makes me
social
think
together.
Keeping a good reputation becomes of the utmost importance, it seems like, in these kinds of worlds.
Yeah. So Tip, how far away are we from having this digital space that we can all hang out in, like at least the first room?
We're building that now. Like my next video is going to be me showing this world in a way that makes people excited and want to come out and hang out with us, because I just want to play with people. I want to run around and shoot people with a snowball gun and actually have fun with them. And then, we can go and hang out in the high lounge and physically kind of like, be there and chat with each other. And like it's just way more casual, more fun. I've experienced it before where I've made friends with people I've never met in real life, and it's just like, this is such a cool experience. I want Bitcoiners to be here. I want to be able to like have these conversations with Bitcoiners. And to your point before, Mike, about like connecting people, like it just breaks down the silos, because sats can be earned in one realm and spent in so many other realms. It's just everything's connected now. It's not these virtual currencies you have to convert into this and this. It's just like, wow, it's all connected.
Yeah, you can earn something in the digital space and then go buy food with it. So I mean,
that way, in the digital space, every currency becomes this sort of tribe, I would say, because now you have. It's like, do you want to attach yourself to which currency you sort of live in that space? And you can start to see how like seedy areas might exist in some coins as opposed to other coins. And then obviously Bitcoin has its own culture itself. That's just an interesting thought.
It'll all be Bitcoin. It's all Bitcoin. Like no other currency can do what Bitcoin's doing in the digital space. So, like I can't just pass a voucher over to someone that's like Ethereum. Like that doesn't work.
Do you think that altcoins won't exist in the future?
I don't think they're relevant. So if they're not relevant, why should they exist?
Well, it depends on how far out you're throwing the cast, right? It's like well,
I mean, like practically, you can't spend cents of an altcoin without high fees. Like Lightning enables us to be able to. I can send you like 2 cents, and it wouldn't cost me $3.
Yeah. I understand all that. I'm saying, like, do you think that they'll remain in the world, or do you think they'll go away?
I mean, if it's not efficient, it should go away.
Interesting.
Because who's using it?
Right. It's like survival of the fittest. It's like it didn't happen overnight, but the organisms that were inefficient with their energy, inefficient with their movement, not adaptable, they slowly went extinct. I mean, how many coins can you name from the top 10 from 2013, right? Like none really.
And it's also like,
interesting.
If people are building going extinct, but also if you're building these worlds and I need a solution now, there is zero solution except for Lightning. So it's like the world's being built now, and I need a product, and only Bitcoin solves that problem. So from a functionality point of view, it's already, it's Bitcoin or nothing already.
One of the things you mentioned about you chose this game because of everybody can have their own servers. What kind of technical specs, or how much memory do you need, for example? Can it be run with a laptop? Like, how does that?
It's still a bit difficult. So there is that friction of first. So this is like we're trialing it as an MVP, as a testing ground. It's not perfect yet, and it's still like there's still the cost of actually buying the game, which I think is like quite annoying. So that's why we're kind of trying to build the community and orange pill people who are already in that game, so they don't have to buy it. But the cost of running a server, knowing how to run a server and leaving out 24/7 is also quite high. So it's like almost like you need to learn how to run your own node kind of thing. But it's kind of like, if you're not doing it for if you trust the server host, then you can use their node. But then if you don't trust anyone, you have the option of hosting your own.
Sure.
So I want to host my own because I don't want to trust anyone. But in this world, you can come in and hang out with me, and you can just be aware that, I own your data. I'm holding your data. It's like coming over to my house. But if you want to run your own server, you can also run your own server, and I can ferry over in that world to your island. So it's kind of like, it's an option,
Yeah. No, it made me think. I don't know if this is possible yet, but almost like the model where you and other people that you know and trust could pool your computing resources together and then like have a lightning channel that stays open between you. And if the other person drops their, turns off their computers and screws up your server, then you can do a penalty transaction and capture some sats out of there. So it's kind of has that incentive to everybody to pool that together and keep that running.
That's a good one. That's a good model to think about. And also, it's just like, how do we integrate existing Bitcoin products into this world? For example, light sets is a way for people to tip each other and give each other vouchers. And so I can start using that product, and then people get exposed to new Bitcoin products by play rather than by word of mouth or people telling you to use it or doing a video about it. It's like, no, people can actually use it because they need to use it in this world. So it's like all these possibilities of helping Bitcoin products grow through playing with it as well.
Usually the first adopters to like really nascent technology is specific industries. This would be huge with like sex workers or like strippers or whatever, like to have like where they can get tipped directly peer to peer. They're on their own server. Nobody can shut them down. I feel like that would be like a huge early adopter.
In the gaming, in the server, or
yeah,
the
just
voucher?
in like people that are like starting up their own servers and like opening up businesses or like hangouts or whatever, just like get sats. Like that would probably draw a lot of I'm just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, and
a lot
and
of new
also,
users initially.
yeah, I was gonna say like you can actually buy weed on there. Like you have your own shop and
Exactly.
stuff.
Right.
But it always starts off like
Yeah.
that. But it's actually for everyone. It starts off like, oh,
Totally.
it's only for sex workers and drugs, and it's just like that's how everything awesome starts. Internet started
it-
off like that.
yeah.
Bitcoin started off like that.
Sex
It's
and
not for
drugs,
everybody if it's
that's
not
how
for those
life
people.
starts, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Oh, that's a good one.
Instead of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, it's sex, drugs, and lightning,
So,
which sounds cooler anyway, or just as cool.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. But I mean, like, what about you guys? Like, I know you're, working at Swan and stuff, and like, I guess what's kind of exciting you, and any cool aspects of Bitcoin Lightning that you're excited about, kind of looking forward as well?
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. Is like we kind of briefly touched it earlier, where it's like intrinsic value, and I think intrinsic value might be like a social construct, and it's part of the value of the energy of mining and stabilizing grids and reducing methane emissions, like using that energy piece as like like it's a commodity social good. It benefits everybody. It protects spending power. It keeps the lights on in your community. It allows for you to expand production and manufacturing and all these things that the world is like losing right now because they can't do it efficiently. If you like subsidize your production of energy, or you subsidize your use of energy, and it like has all these values, like there's no such thing as intrinsic value, kind of the way that I'm kind of thinking about this, except for would everybody kind of like, so there's no intrinsic value to coal if you don't know that you can burn it for energy. So it's just this dirty rock, and it's like nobody cares about it. But once everybody realizes that it can be burned for energy, it's kind of an unsaid agreement from society, like this has value because otherwise we can't power anything. So it's like, people are going to slowly realize the value of Bitcoin, even if they can't communicate it or consciously express it. It will just be viewed as like, well, if the miners leave, then we might not be able to have electricity next winter, so we need them to stay. Like, so whatever it is, like that's and then before you know it, that's what people are saying, and it's just you've got the value there, and it starts to accrue. So just the way that the energy use is going to transform society one by one. It'll start like the little orange seedling in El Salvador or Central Africa or parts of the United States. And that's just going to keep growing. It's just, we have to slow down a little bit and realize that not everybody's going to realize that right away.
I think it's so fascinating to kind of see all these new places that's going to pop up, all these new cities that's going to pop up around Bitcoin miners, just because it now exists and it can provide cheap energy, and like there's going to be all these new little pockets of communities in these rural places that never existed before, and those places are going to be booming and almost like at the new metropolis, because it's just like that's people go to
Right, like
energy and stuff.
right,
Fascinating.
like the old traveler going through the desert and all these oases,
Yeah.
whatever the plural term is. Yeah, but it's like these oases in
We're
what
describing
was
citadels, basically.
citadels. Yeah, some of them will be citadels. Like Alan Farrington has the Bitcoin as Venice, where Venice became this powerful regional like city state or whatever, not because it had a military. It didn't have a military. It was like its cultural gravity was so intense that it just became like this powerful, um, this powerful city state.
Nicely said.
Yeah, it's awesome. I
What
think
about you,
that.
Mike?
No, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Tip.
Sorry, I was going to say like the citadels. I think there'll be physical ones all around the world. There'll be pockets, but I think that the biggest citadel is the one where we can all join, and it's going to be in the digital world. And I'm not saying that it's going to be metaverse, but it's more like how you were saying before. The Bitcoin breaks down silos where digital energy is now being breathed into cyberspace, and it's going to be this overarching cyberspace world where we're all interacting and having fun with each other, and that's the new citadel.
Right.
But at the same time, you've got physical pockets.
Yeah, like I like that way you frame it, because I was talking to Mike and said, it was a few episodes ago where like cryptographers used entropy to like cloak their communications. Like you could build these brick or these stone walls, and it takes a lot of energy. It's really hard to penetrate, or it's hard to breach. But you can do it, right? Like you just have to have a tank or like a plane or just some firepower. But when you create your citadel and you cloak it in entropy, like you can have all the energy and all the compute power of you can harness the energy of the sun, and you could just brute force it for 1 billion years and you wouldn't be able to break it. Just pay your sats or you don't get in. Sorry, you can't get through.
Quite a bright orange future there. I think the question that I wanted to, which one was it? It was what am I thinking about?
Yeah, like what's got you excited about in Bitcoin lately? The question you ask everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. I certainly feel more strong about it every single day. My conviction towards it strengthens with each block in a way, right? So
as it should.
Something that I'm pretty bullish on is this show. Okay, I think I'm happy about this show. I think we're doing good, and but that's not neither here nor there. That's not what I wanted to discuss. But recently we had we had a live conversation, and I spoke with you about this at Pacific Bitcoin, right? We had a live conversation. We recorded it, and what I understood was that the in-person experience is just magnitudes greater and means something more. Sort of like a scarcity of time, right? Because when we're Zooming, we have much more time. We can sort of go in and out. We can schedule meetings, whatever. But when you have this physical space, and you're adhering to those physical constraints of everyone's schedule, and they are all going to be there at one time, and you have to get them to the location, you have to set up the cameras, and you have to mic everything, and you know what I'm saying? It's like you start to think about how important physical things are. That's what all I'm trying to say. That's what I was.
You don't take it for granted. It's kind of like not just like, oh, is it happening or not? It's like everyone made the effort to be there, so that the effort really matters, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Michael Saylor had an interview with the Sven, he's like the Viking guy or whatever on finance on Twitter, and he talked about how Apple and Google and all these companies, they dematerialized all these major like information basically, and how Bitcoin's going to dematerialize energy. And Tip is trying to dematerialize whatever value you just talked about, Mike, that you can't get digitally. It's going to be dematerialized, and you're going to be able
and
to
I want to
come
show you
together.
how, because
Yeah.
when you actually go into that world, you'll be like, and we still have to schedule and meet and stuff, but yes, there'll be less friction of us being physically together. But when you're in that world at the same time, I can walk up to you and like shoot you in the face, and they'll be funny. Like you can't do that in real life, but
No, you can't.
this is
You're right. So you have more optionality in that sense. I couldn't shoot anyone in the face when we were doing the high hash rate podcast, right? That's true. So you have to adhere to those constraints, but you do lose the sort of nuance of reality in a way, or sort of, I guess
You have to rethink reality.
I guess you're right. But I mean, there's relationships that were happening within the space, and you can't. I think I would imagine it'd be hard to get the sense of what, even based on like eye movement or like how someone is reacting to something else, right? There's those kinds of things that we're language creatures. They're just a different style of language, visual language, right? So. God, I don't know where I was going with this.
No, but it's cool. Like so this time last year we ran an experiment, and we went to this world, my partner and I, and we didn't speak a word. We went into this world on someone else's server, and we built a shop, and we put art up everywhere. I put a lot of Bitcoin art up, and all these people. The aim of the game is you're supposed to kill each other and steal from each other. So killing and theft. And we were like, can we make trade work? Can we change the server and people's minds to make it more like people want to be friendly and trade? And so we started putting all these Bitcoin stuff out there, all these art. People came to us and were like, what is this place? Like, why don't you have walls up? Like, why can we just walk up? And we're like, we want to trade with you. Like, but we didn't speak that. We kind of just typed it. And so we didn't speak a word, and we create this community where people trusted us, and we had fun with them, and we were able, like, some people came up and were just like having heart-to-heart conversations without us speaking one word. And it's just like, it's crazy. And we're like aiming to kind of like help people learn about Bitcoin, orange pill them by building this rapport with them without having to meet them in real life or know them in real life. And I think it's kind of like this new creative way of orange pilling people, where it's like, can we do it without saying too much? Can we do it by showing rather than telling? Can we do it by building a relationship where we don't have to know each other? Can we do it pseudonymously? Can we do it in a way that it's just completely different to the internet that we know now, this 2D Twitter space, boring kind of like word of walls? Can we do it in a way where it's fun and interactive, and we're playing with each other, and we're running around playing tag like kids again? Like, I have so much fun in that world and meeting all these strangers that I would say are friends, but they don't know me and I don't know them. And it's just like, is that the new world? Maybe, maybe.
I guess my parting thoughts on this idea, which it sounds like an awesome idea, is it reminds me the comment you made about the test that you did where you went into this game where everybody was supposed to be killing each other. It makes me think of a couple of years ago, there was this girl who played World of Warcraft online, and she was like a major player, and she died in real life. And eventually her tribe or her guild or whatever they call them on their server, they found out about it. So they decided to hold a funeral in the World of Warcraft game in a public server and in uncontested or contested areas. So like people would be warring over that area all the time. And another group found out about it, and then they knew that everybody was going to be taking off their weapons and their shields and everything like that. So they created a raid, and they just went into the funeral and just took everybody out, killed everybody, took all their supplies. So these games, the internet in general, but these games particularly this iteration of the internet, is like the state of nature. It's like everybody's out for themselves. They're just going to kill and take everything because that's what they're incentivized to do. But just like the real state of nature that humans have evolved through over the past 10,000 years is we changed that and we figured out a way to cooperate and to build societies. So you could take this state of nature, this digital world, and if you use Bitcoin, which is probably the best tool that I can think of, that we've already agreed on that, to align everybody's incentives, then you can like go into this crazy wild west of selfish self-interest and change that and change how people behave in these environments. Like instead of everybody trolling each other online, right? Like you could, if you can figure out how to do it in this game, you could extrapolate that out.
Yeah, and you
long
can
way.
also pay people to build defenses, so when anyone comes and raid you, they get shot. So, I don't know.
Right. And then it's just disincentivize negative behavior, bad actors.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
I had a. How are we feeling, everyone?
Feeling good.
All good? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask where. I wanted to derail the conversation. I'm sorry, unless we had a closing thought on this tip. Did you have a closing thought?
No.
Okay. Where do the visuals come from in your movies?
So the recent one, The Great Resistance, I made it via Midjourney. So that's the AI art. And before that, I just like got it from the internet. So it's kind of like I think Midjourney is awesome because I can be more true to the original thoughts that I had by kind of creating it out of thin air, whereas before I had to work with the limitations of what I can find on the internet and then do editing and overlay and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm evolving as technology is evolving, I am also evolving as a creator too, which is awesome.
What do you think about that relationship with AI, your relationship as an artist?
I think it's giving me superpowers because it's like I can do so much more with my time, and it's really enhancing kind of my creativity in ways that I'm like, wow, I would have never done that myself. I couldn't do that myself, but that's what I thought of. I want my creations to reflect my thoughts. That's kind of all what most artists want to do, is just like, how do I be most loyal to my thought and get it out there into the world as similar as how you see it in your brain. So AI is helping me do that. Even with the music, like my voice isn't supposed to be rapping like that. So I can now get an AI to rap it the same pitch, the same pace, the same way that I want it, without having to change my voice or hire someone. Yeah.
What is the struggle like between the idea or the thought in your mind and then how you present it so that people interpret it how you hope they interpret it? Or do you kind of leave it open-ended and let people kind of project onto what you've created? Or like, do you think about that when you're making it?
Yeah, I guess so. Firstly, I want people to understand what I'm trying to say. The message is very important. So I spend a lot of time refining the message. A lot of, I guess, proof of work goes into refining it so that it's succinct and I'm not wasting people's time. Like when I go into making something, I want people to, like, in the back of my mind, I'm just like, it has to be good because I don't want to waste people's time. I want people to look at it and immediately get something out of it. And so a lot of work goes into, like, hours and hours of work goes into a 2-minute song because I want to condense it and make it, as good as possible. A really important step in my process is storyboarding. So, for example, in the Time Chain music video, there's a story to that. There's a process of, there's different aspects of time that I touch, time in seconds, or time as a ledger, or time as a as a distance. It changes over the galaxy. And so it's just like, how do I say that in a way that makes sense? Because you can just put it all in there and at the end people are like, what the hell was that? Like, I want it to make sense. And so storyboarding is very important, and I spend a lot of time iterating on that again and again and again. And yeah, so I go in with the mindset of I know what I want to say. I need to iterate on it. Sometimes I have to leave it because it doesn't work and I have to come back to it. It's hard. Sometimes I hate it. Sometimes I don't want to publish it. This is so bad. There's a lot of work that goes behind it.
Do you have like market testers? I guess isn't the right word, but like who do you show it to? You're like, do you get a critique, or do you just like release it and let the community have their way?
It's more like I release it. I remember like showing it to my partner when it's just the lyrics, and he's just like, that doesn't really make sense. And I'm like, but just imagine that you need the pictures. The pictures will supplement the lyrics, and so I feel really bad showing something half made because it's like you don't get it because you're not in my brain. So I create the whole thing and then I release it. I don't really get too much feedback during the process.
It's probably good because it's your idea. I don't know. I need to think about this because I'm trying to express myself more, but it's hard for me to make it succinct and clear so like the message gets across, and all the fluff that I might add to it is just like strip all that out and just get to the point.
What's an example? Like
no, it's just like tweets are an example, right? Like a simple one where you've got people who will write these long threads, and sometimes that's beneficial. Sometimes there's a lot of information, it's very nuanced, and they're trying to get that across. But I don't know if it's not like an official guiding principle or anything, but it's a thread is less valuable than a single tweet, which is less valuable than just a meme. If you can condense a message clearly in an effective way in just a picture, just a short video, do that. If you can't, do a full tweet. If you can't do that, do a thread. But the more you add to it, the less likely people are going to follow it through and think about it and click to the next thread if it's not really necessary to have all that information in that communication. So you can so you can take that to like your videos. Do you make a 5-minute video, a 1-minute video, right? Like if you can get it all in as little as possible, but still get the whole message across, it's like, is that more beneficial to like a longer, more content rich piece of content?
Well, a method that I have is called expansion contraction, where when I'm expanding, I have all the possible information. You see my notes where it's like pages and pages of notes. And then I go out and then I highlight key sentences, put it into another document, so shorten it, and then go back and expand it again. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. I need to add this, and then do that process again and again till you're refining it until you get the key message in a succinct, storyboarded, logical way, and that's it. And I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's like the more work you do yourself, the more people are going to appreciate it because I
think it's true. I mean, when I watch your work, I can see it. Like I can see the amount of work that went into it. You know what I'm saying?
Especially if you've done any, like I mentioned earlier, right? Like trying to make videos. Like this takes forever.
Yeah, you have to love the process as well. I mean, if you hate the process, then don't do it. Find another way to communicate the way that you love to communicate. But I personally when I'm in the flow and I'm like listening to music and just like editing the video, I'm like, this is the best use of my time. Like I'm enjoying life right now. So
that's good. Yeah,
gotta love it.
I definitely enjoy the getting high and the thinking and planning. The executing is where I get bogged down. And just kind of like, oh my God, trying to like get this transition or this cut, like the right split second. Oh, that's what frustrates me. And coding is like that too. But with coding, at least it's,
sometimes there's there's a sort of art to that, or like how fine can you get your cut is a nice, exactly. There is a feeling of accomplishment there for sure. Tip, I had to ask you, Did you have anything you were thinking about this, recently that you wanted to talk about?
I think I just kind of threw it on you guys about the world, so I'm going to stop talking about that
No,
now.
look,
I
it's
feel
like,
that was kind of what's on my mind at the moment.
That's sort of the, feeling, I think we want from the show is sort of this like idea that we could meet in a space and just as for the first time all have a conversation as Bitcoiners at smoking weed. That's like the whole trying to grasp that feeling of those kinds of moments. But
Yeah,
Totally.
yeah. No, it's also really cool to be able to just like talk about the content itself, because I feel like when you're watching my content, you're kind of seeing a small part of my brain. But now that we're having a longer conversation, like it's really cool to be able to talk about it and explain a little bit more. And I'm gutted that I can't show my video editing stuff, but yeah, I mean, like, this is what it's for, is kind of like digging deeper into the content. Yeah, thank you for making the time, having me on the show as well.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening.
Yeah, one last time.
Take it away,
Pictures,
Dan.
where people can find your content and learn or keep up to date with what you're doing and how this world is being built out.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at tip_NZ, and I guess that's a good place to start. And I post my content on there, so you can find it on there as well. And I've got my website on there. It's kind of shitty right now, but I've got a YouTube and stuff like that as well. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Do you accept Lightning donations to help build this world out, or is that something that's might be coming?
Yeah, I've got my donations. I guess on my website you can go to my CoinOS and stuff and donate. I've been like, there's someone out there who's giving me 21 sats every day, and I don't know who it is, and it's just like, thank you. This is so cool. Whoever you are, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it doesn't go unnoticed. I'm like, wow, this person's really cool. I don't know who it is.
Reveal yourselves.
That is a good feeling.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I guess I'll wrap it up then, boys and girls. There we go. Thanks again for listening to the High Hash Rate podcast. You can find us on Twitter at High Hash Rate, or you can hit up Dan at Heartland Bitcoin, HRTLND Bitcoin, or myself, Mike, at Rundance Bitcoin. That's all one word, Rundance Bitcoin. If you're a fellow pleb or you just want to shoot the shit with two high Bitcoiners, reach out to us.